All right, so now I have completed my sketches, but I did them online. So I wanted you to do them in your sketchbook because it tends to let you be a little bit looser. So this is how we use the computer to get our sketch into the computer. We don't have scanners attached to these, but we don't need them because we don't need a high resolution image of our sketch. So this is what you're going to do. Go down to your dock and you're going to click on the FaceTime app. Okay? And this is just a really quick on Mac's image. You get to see yourself, get to check your hairline. But this is actually a mirror image. Does that make sense? It's a mirror image. So let me hold up some notes here. Notice that the words are backwards. Okay? So what we're going to do is learn how to do a screen grab. A screen grab. So make it as large as possible. Hold up. Actually, even before you hold it up, it'll be easier. This will get easier with practice. But you're going to hit Command-Shift-4. Okay? Command-Shift-4. All three together. I'll come around and help. Number 4. And what that does is it turns your mouse cursor into a little bullseye. Okay? Then you're going to draw a rectangle around the part of the image you want to capture. So you kind of move your sketch into that, and when you let go, it will take a photo of it and put it on your desktop. Okay? So there it is. So notice, you can then close FaceTime. Now the reason I'm doing it this way is to show you to be an effective digital artist, you have to be efficient with your time and efficient with your programs. So sometimes we're going to use this program, which is Preview. And the way you get to Preview is you just double click on any image file that's not a PSD file or another specialized file. And it's going to open up in Preview, and you're going to notice the lighting is not good. You're going to notice, first of all, that it's a mirror image. So I'm going to teach you some basic image editing in Preview, okay? So if you go to Tools, the first thing you're going to do is say Flip Horizontal. And that will make it not a mirror image anymore, okay? Next, you're going to go to Tools, and you're going to say Adjust Color. And this is the most frequent thing I do with digital images, just in day-to-day use, like emailing, things like that. I just use Preview and Adjust Color. We have all these tools in Photoshop. We'll be getting into them a lot more in a lot more nuanced ways. But all I want you to do here is hit Auto Levels, and you'll notice it will brighten your brights, darken your darks. I want you to adjust the temperature setting. And for you guys, because you are under fluorescent lights, you might need to move it towards the blue a little bit. Because I'm in shadow here, I'm going to move it a little bit towards the pink. And then if it gets too pink, I'm going to adjust the tint towards the green. This is all in a program called Preview. So if you just double click on what the photo you took, it will open up.
Oh, double click on it. Okay. And I want to reverse image forward.
You go to Tools and you say Flip Horizontal to make it not a mirror image. And then to get all of these options, you go to Adjust Color. Okay, and then the last thing I do is I take this sharpness and I push it all the way to the right. And notice that distorts my image. It makes my pixels look really kind of weird, but it makes them easier to read. And because our sketch is about how we're going to be able to read it, that's what I want to do. To go through all those things again? Oh, yes. So you can also just rotate it. If you don't want the vertical image, you can go to Tools and rotate left or rotate right. And the shortcuts for that are Command L and Command R. It might look like it cuts it off, but if you just stretch your window, it doesn't. Yep. All right. Now, here's the danger of Preview, and I've mentioned this before. You don't save. It automatically saves when you close it. So that's dangerous. So if you don't like the changes you make, you have to say Reset All before you close it. But if I close it now my image is changed to those settings. And if you want more precise settings, you can use the levels dials here.
I go to preferences and preview.
No, you go to tools.
Okay, tools. Okay.
And first you're going to flip horizontal, and then you're going to say adjust color.
Okay, what if I'm having my vertical, that's the way that I want it?
But you still want to flip it horizontal, otherwise it will be a mirror image.
Okay, so you flip to horizontal. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, so now we all have a cleaned up, low-res version of our photo, of our sketch. Okay, now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to right-click on that on my desktop and say Open with Photoshop.
Okay, do that one more time.
Oh, it saves automatically? To the
It
desktop?
saves automatically.
So I can click out of the preview thing?
Yep. As soon as you close preview, it will save it. Then you right-click on your image on the desktop. Remember, F11 gets you to the desktop. And then you say Open with Photoshop. Or you can drag it down to the Photoshop icon. That also works. Okay, now it's in Photoshop. And now, just like what we did with the shape exercise, I have to make it big enough to print, right? So let's say this is my sketch book page, but my sketch is just these two buildings. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the crop tool. And I'm going to crop around my sketch. So this is where I pick which sketch I want to work up, either my horizontal or my vertical. And if you can't choose, bring in the sketch twice and crop it both ways. So let's say that's my sketch. So I've cropped it. Now it's even smaller. So I use the crop tool and then I make the box and I hit return. Now I go to image size, and just like we did with the low-res image that we built our shapes on top of, I want to make this what resolution for printing and what size? By going to image, image size.
11 by 14.
Yeah, at least 11 by 14. By how many pixels per inch?
350.
By 350. So make sure resample is checked, and that your proportions are locked. And I'm going to say a resolution of 350. And remember, I'm recording this so you can review it. And I'm going to come around and help you in about 7 minutes. Eileen, you just want to work on your sketch. Okay. So I'm going to put the width in. And so if I put the width in as 14, it's only 6.7 inches tall. So then I know I need to put the height in. That's the limiting factor. And so mine's going to be 11 inches by 22 inches by 350 pixels per inch. It's going to go from 215 kilobytes to 88.2 megabytes. And is this a good thing to do for image quality? It's terrible. Look what it does to my sketch. But that's okay, because this is just my plan underneath. The important thing now is when I bring my high resolution reference into it, it will be a good size to use, and it will print cleanly. Except that one won't, because that's probably the smallest of my images. So I'm going to show you that with my sketches now. Okay? So that's just how you get your sketch on the computer like this. So this is my whole sketchbook page. What do I need to do to get it down to the one I want to do? And by the way, you guys get to choose. Should I do horizontal format or should I do the vertical format? Let's see a show of hands. I'm hearing horizontal, but I haven't done vertical in a while. Okay, show of hands for horizontal. It's what I'll be demoing. And there are plenty of horizontal examples in the videos. Okay, show of hands for vertical.
Lame.
All right, I will do horizontal. Okay. But it's the same skill set either way. But since I'm guessing most of you are probably doing horizontal too, this will match. Okay, now I am going to crop, using the crop tool, just to the edges. They don't need to be perfect, right? You see how I'm going over my edges a little bit of my composition. You guys see that? The crop tool is underneath the magic wand. Okay, then you hit return, and it gets rid of everything else. Now, this is why I wanted you to do it in your sketchbook, because all of your notes are in your sketchbook, right? And just keep your sketchbook page open while you're doing this. So now I need to make this print quality size. So I go to image size, and I'm going to make it 350 pixels per inch, and I'm going to make it at least 11 by 14. And I know the limiting factor is height, so I'm going to make the height 11 inches, and so it's going to be 11 by 21, so that neither one of these is below 11 or below 14. Okay? It's okay to be more than, but you don't want it less than 11 by 14, because that's kind of the medium size we print in this class. And then the resolution of 350. Now I say okay. Now notice there's a difference between a camera image and an image that you draw online, and how well the computer is able to make up more pixels. It will soften the edges, but because I drew this online, notice that this looks a whole lot better than that photo looked. And that's because if you make it in the computer is able to extrapolate data from it more easily than if it's scanned or a photograph. Okay, but anyway, so this is my game plan now. But if I ever want to know like what my notes were, I have to go back to my sketch for that. So I'm also going to open up my sketch in preview and just keep it off to the side so I can reference it. All right, now I'm almost ready to start bringing in my reference images. And if I started bringing them in now, they would all pile on top of each other like our cartoon jumble. But this is more complicated than our cartoon jumble. I actually want to create space around my image. So I'm going to do that for the first time by going to Image Canvas Size, not image size. This will help you remember the difference between the two. Canvas size is the shape and size of the paper, right? Image size is changing the size of just the image. So I'm going to do canvas size, and I'm going to make it, because it's a horizontal format, I'm going to make it 40 inches wide, 30 inches tall. I would reverse that if I was doing a vertical format. I'm going to grow my canvas, grow my paper size from the middle. Okay? So leave that there, instead of growing it from the bottom or from the top or from the side. And I want my extension color to be gray. If it doesn't let you, it's because you're on the background layer, and just let it do what it's going to do then. Yeah, just don't worry about this, but you will be able to do canvas size. It will just be a white color. Okay. So now that we have a tabletop to kind of arrange our cutouts on, I can start bringing in my cutouts. So number one for me was the bent tree. So I go to my folder of images, and I'm going to drag and drop in this bent tree. And because I dragged and dropped it in from an outside source, it gives me a transform box for it, right?
Our base image that we're going to use?
Yeah, this is the plan we're going to build on top of, our sketch.
Well, no, I mean like the image you're using is like the base of...
So there's a few things. I'm bringing this in, but I don't want to use all of that photo, right? So I can try to kind of size it by putting it on top of my plan. And then I can just move it off to the side. The next thing I want to use is the house, the ruin of the house. So I can drag and drop that in. Notice that's really high resolution. But the house is only about that big. So I'm just going to roughly size it and place it. But remember, these are still smart layers. So I haven't lost any resolution because they're referencing the outside piece. So now, how do I make this into a raster image that I can use? I'm going to use the lasso. This is where your tablet can come in. And I'm just going to loosely, like you're cutting out of a magazine, roughly cut around it. And not only am I cutting out the house, I'm going to roughly cut out the stuff around the house too that might transition into other elements. So I've selected it. Now to rasterize it onto a new layer, I hit Command J to duplicate that selection.